what I want to talk about is what makes streaming hard and what makes streaming easy if you have a purpose for your stream in mind. And this right here is, I think, the very, very key of when it comes to becoming a good streamer and becoming a streamer that can stream to a large number of players or can actually stream something as tough as starting out in a brand new game and slowly building up, which is something that I'm trying to do, but I'm still not really good at. And I'm going to show you like what you start out with, why that makes it hard for you to ultimately do something like starting in a game where you have no competence in and building up on that. And then why the moment that you become more competent in that, when you know what you're doing, this streaming thing can actually become a lot more easier, and why that will help you if you want to become a streamer, and also why that shouldn't hold you from becoming a streamer. But just knowing this knowledge will probably help you to faster get better at streaming or content creation, or maybe also somewhere else in life. I don't know. At the end of the day, this is just me talking into a camera. I don't know how transferable these skills are. The only way that I found that these skills were very transferable is when I was doing presentations. So maybe if you want to be good at presentations, this might be the thing. Who knows, right? Who knows? So, first things first, if you started streaming, you probably have no idea what the hell you're doing. You just want to get out there, start streaming for the world, whatever your reason is. For me, the reason was that I was playing this game called Warframe, I was making videos for it, and I thought that streaming would do two very good things. Number one, I would be able to play a game, and I would be able to work, because my work was making videos. And you know what YouTubers did as work as well? They would make Twitch streams. So if I would go out on stream and I would just go make a stream, that would be content, and that content would be work. And I would like to play games. And what better excuse is there for me to go and play games than I can tell myself is like, well, I didn't just spend 6 hours playing games, I spent 6 hours working. Oh man, that was a great excuse. That was a great fucking excuse. And the best thing about that too is while I was doing that, while I was just playing my games as I normally was, while having a camera on me and just me playing some music and oftentimes just talking a little bit to the camera, is I got to know some people in chat. And the very first people I got to know in chat, Travel, Jen, Emil, like, man, that was great. Tyrannas, a theme, man, you guys have been around for such a long time. It's so nice meeting you guys through the chat. Having people who come by every single day, just having a little talk with them, like that was really, really cool. I wasn't so alone anymore. So not only could I play more games, did I have a good excuse to play games, I would also have an excuse to kind of find a way to make friends. So that's what I started kind of streaming for. And for that, I just had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I turn on my camera, I see that most streamers out there just go out and kind of talk to the camera sometimes, so I'm just going to react to the game. And that is what you're going to be like if you start out streaming or if you start out making videos, but in streaming is even more visible, is you're going to be reacting. That is stage one. You're going to be reacting to whatever's going on. You don't know what you're doing, but you're just like, hey, I need to say something. I need to talk about something. What do you need to talk about? Well, I guess whatever's on screen. And this is where you see a lot of streamers, especially if you go to 0 to 1 viewer streamers, go wrong. The moment that they don't have any viewers, or there's nothing interesting going on, there's nothing to react to. So you're quiet. You're quiet, you're not saying anything, and that is, I'm going to be really honest here, it's not interesting to watch. If I tune into a stream and I see nothing, or I just see you sitting there watching the screen, playing a game, not saying anything, it's not interesting. I'm going to click away. But you may say, there are some people who can do that. There are some people who have thousands of viewers who just sit there, say nothing, play the game, and get away with it. Why can't I? Well, let me tell you why you can't. There's one very good reason why you cannot do that. And the reason why is that you're not good enough. You're just not good at the game. I know this because I'm not good at the game. I'm not one of the best players in the world in one particular game. If I was, I could do whatever the fuck I wanted on the stream. I could just turn my camera off, I could turn my mic off, I could just have the gameplay going, and people would watch that. If you've ever seen someone who is really, really good at their craft do something, God, that is an amazing experience. So that is what people tune in for. If you go to the top streams in something like Apex or Age of Empires 2 or whatever game it is that has some sort of like skill element to it, and you go to one of the top players and they're probably not the best content creators. They're probably not talking to the camera all the time. They're probably not saying anything much during their matches at all because they're so focused. But boy, is it good to see. If you want to get better and you want to make an interesting form of content, you just reacting to only the thing that pops in, like a chat message, or you reacting to just, what interesting happens in the game, isn't really going to make interesting content. And that is something that you'll learn over time, but it's probably better to learn that right away. If you have no purpose in your content, what you're doing, you're going to be reacting. You're just going to be reacting. It's not going to be interesting, and it's not really going to lead anywhere. This is something that a lot of people will learn over time. They will learn slowly over time. If I just don't have anything to talk about, if I don't do anything, what I end up with is I will just not have an interesting stream. So intuitively, you'll learn that, hey, top streamers, they talk. They talk about things. So I should talk about things. And this right here is technically supposed to be better. But again, you're missing your purpose. You're not asking yourself, why am I talking about things? What is the purpose of what I'm doing? You're just, I'm talking about things. This was something that I started doing when I was playing a lot of, what is it? Fortuna. At that time, I started doing like 6 to 8 hour streams every single day. It was a horrible period of time for me because as much as I do enjoy streaming, I will never do a full time like 6 to 8 hours every single day for like all my days because I never got to do anything else. Basically, I was stuck in the same game, and during that, like these 2 or 3 months that I did that, I just didn't really feel like I was living my life anywhere there. It was such a big blur. But what I also discovered was right now, I'm just talking about things. And at the point in time when you're doing that, it's interesting sounding to you, and it may be interesting to the people who watch you frequently. But you're not really getting to a point. You're not really talking about something. You're not really pointing your strings towards somewhere because it's just a blur. You're just filling time. You're filling the void, which sometimes may be what people look for. I definitely have my points in time where I'm looking for just void-filling sound. When I'm cleaning my room, when I'm out here just working on the computer or doing some work that doesn't really require my full concentration, I just want to have something on the background. And if I can have someone just talk about whatever, then that could work very, very well in just like filling that void. And I really, really appreciate the people who just watch and lurk in the streams who like to have me on to fill the void. However, the chances of you becoming really, really good at streaming when you're just kind of void filling without you knowing that you're void filling, it's going to be rough. If you want to do something more ambitious and try to make a series where it's like, hey, I'm going to start at 0 in a game and move forward. I want to start at this here, do something really, really tough, and then show you that journey. Then you're going to need to know that that is going to be your purpose. That you're going to be conveying something to people that aren't you. And that is something which is really, really important. So what is talking about something with purpose? Well, this right here is something where I'm talking to you with purpose. What is my purpose? My purpose to you is to give you a little bit of an overview of the things that I've learned throughout my experience of streaming. I want to give you some examples where you can look back, or maybe from your experience, you can see like, hey, this is the way it used to be. Or this is like the 0 to 1 viewer streamer. I've seen it as well. I've seen these types of things as well. To give you a little bit of context, that you can like connect to the things that you've experienced, such that I can convey to you the knowledge that I've made, connect that to your experience, and give you a little bit more in-depth information about like, hey, this is how I may be able to structure it. However, my purpose is also to make it as understandable to you as possible by not speaking too fast, by not giving you too much information that I am just rambling on, and also not keeping it too short where I'm just telling you something that I think is very understandable, but that you don't understand at all. Now, this is something where if you do it right, it works really, really well. And all the streamers and content creators out there that make videos just reacting to something, talking about things, I'm talking about an Asmongold, I'm talking about a Moist Critical, I'm talking about like, these streamers who just talk about things that you feel like, hey, this guy is just reading an article, and that's his entire thing. This guy's just watched a movie and just talked about his experience on a movie, and now he's got millions of views. How does that make sense? That's so easy. I could do it. Let me tell you, you can do it. Probably not. I can do it. Why not? Because these people either have learned over time, or they very intuitively feel that this right here is the balance where I can tell something, keeping it very short enough that it's not rambling, keeping it long enough that I'm not like leaving gaps where you don't understand what's going on. And I'm also making something where it feels useful to you for you to listen to. You're probably not going to use it anywhere. You're probably not going to use any of that knowledge that you gain for these videos in anything, but it's still interesting enough. And I feel like if you look at this right now, I'm structuring this a little bit more in this little bit of a monologue, but I don't think my purpose is done entirely well. For example, I feel like I've rambled on a little bit too long right now. I also have a little bit of problem with speaking very fast. I'm a very fast thinker. I'm a very fast speaker. And I know not everyone else is. If you're able to keep up, you're probably also a rather fast thinker as well. I also have a very busy brain in a way that I can keep track of a lot of things at the same time. when I'm reading chat, just right now, as I'm not reading chat as much as I'm doing this, because if I'm reading chat, I'm seeing so many different new interesting things come up that sometimes you may just catch me just speaking as I was finishing my sentence. I see something in chat, and I'm already thinking like, oh, that's interesting, and I'll all of a sudden just switch over to something else. That's not good if I'm trying to have people follow along. So that is having a purpose and using that purpose to do something and do that in stream. Very says this is a negative take, but Asmongold is not that good. Is the perfect example of a person who is terrible at games, but people like watching him for his reactions. Yeah, so when it comes to Asmongold, see now I can react to the variations. So like, hey, Asmongold grew up within one single game, but he is really, really naturally good at rationalizing things out by talking about something that gives you a little bit of insight around a single topic that is being discussed. He's probably not knowledgeable about old topics, but he has a certain way of looking at things where it sounds like he always has a different look that most people may have. And the way that he comes across, the way that he talks about things is very well controlled. Like, you should take a look at him. Not just listen at what he says, not look at him just be like, oh, he's reacting to something and stretching this out. Because he's making his videos quite long, he's making his streams quite long. But just look at the way that he conducts himself with the chat and with the stream. He has a certain amount of balance where he speaks to the chat. Like, the chat is still there. Because if I were to ignore chat now completely, that would not be a stream. That would be a video, as I was talking about. This right now would then be a complete video, which why would that be interesting to watch? Asmongold does the same thing. Why would you tune into a stream if you can throw everything you can in chat, but he'll never respond to it? He'll respond to some things from time to time, and he'll choose sometimes things that will be very much contrary to his point, but he will bring these people up and then also ban them if they're just trolling. He has a very good standard, natural standard for having people feel like they can deliver criticism, but also weed out the bad actors in there. And at the same time, while he is reacting to something, while he's talking about something, he'll know how to kind of pause naturally and say something interesting, which isn't just like, yo, wow, that's crazy, which a lot of React people are. If you're going to try and react to something, like, it would be fun if you're a streamer or you're a content creator or whoever, you're just a person who thinks that reacting to content is easy, go try and record a react video to a reaction video that, like, Asmongold has made. Like, he recently did one about Gamers Nexus. Try and do that the same. Take the Gamers Nexus video, just record it for yourself, and do a reaction video where you deliver interesting insight that would be interesting. That would be actually interesting to watch. That would add on something onto the video. I know that for me, it would be really hard. I think that I could do a little bit. I could be like, oh, well, that would do something, right? Or that would, this right here is going on there. But at the same time, it's kind of tough to do, man. You want to be in control. You want to be a captain that's steering the ship. And if you are having a really, really hard time sailing, if you're sailing through unknown waters, and this right here is where I think it is really, really hard for me to try and make this content where I'm trying to grow up in Age of Empires 2. I'm having a really, really hard time sailing in Age of Empires 2 because I'm going through waters that I don't know. And while I'm sailing, and I'm really focusing on my sailing isn't the best in the world because I am really struggling on these waters. But as a captain of the ship, you want to be an entertaining captain. So you also want to be entertaining while you're talking about like what you're doing. So as my sailcraft is not all that interesting, my watercraft's not all that good to watch. The path that we're going past is also not all that interesting because we're going through very rough waters where I'm not good at what I'm doing right now, so it's not interesting to see. I can be entertaining, and that could be also fun to watch. But if I'm not bad, then what are you watching? You're watching a captain struggling through waters that aren't interesting. Now, you could have interesting sailing through the waters, and that's a skill player. Or you could have, and this is what a lot of like streamers end up doing, or start out doing, is that you're not good at sailing the ship. You're not interesting in where you're going for the waters, but you got a really interesting island outside where you're docked. And that's where you're docked, and that's what you're doing. And that's what you see. That's how I was got started in Warframe. Warframe was a really interesting island to see for a lot of people. A lot of people joined this channel because I was doing Warframe, and Warframe was a really interesting island to see. And while you're docked, you don't have to worry about where you're going. So you can be a little bit more entertaining, or you can become a little bit better at sailing across the island because you know the pathway across the island. So you can learn a little bit better as to how you go along. But if you want to move out, then it relies more on your regular ship. I don't know, like how you call that, the craft of being a shipman. It's going to be more akin to like, how do you know how to navigate? Where do you navigate to? And that's where purpose has become, like, it's very important. Like, if you want to start streaming, what are you doing?